Hi, welcome to another Carol in the City video update. I'm happy to bring you a report from my latest missions trip to Belo Horizonte, Brazil. This was my 7th trip, and it's always a joy to go, and I look forward to going each year. And so I just wanted to take the next couple minutes and share a story from that trip. The last day that we left, we held a banquet once again for the prostitutes that work in the brothels. We send out teams to invite them to come for a lunch, and we sit down with them and talk with them, share the gospel, hear their stories, pray, get to know them, um, serve a very nice meal, and just have a really awesome time. David and Mariana often share their testimony, and women are really moved and touched by that. And every year we hear reports of women who have decided to leave prostitution um, as a result of being present at that banquet. God just really does something in their heart that they decide, I don't want to be here anymore, or they start taking steps to get out. And so that's part of our motivation in hosting these banquets for women, to let them know that they don't have to sell themselves to survive. They can, there is another way, and God can make a way for them. And just so you know, many of the women come to work there because they're trying to feed their families. They're just trying to put food on the table, and they may be uneducated, and family situations come up where the husband leaves, or whatever it might be, just very poor households. And so these women come to make money because they hear that they can make a lot of money. And so it's very sad and disheartening to see that they feel that this is the only way that they can make money and survive. And our prayer is always that they will see that there is another way. And I felt the same way about the couple of ladies that I talked with. And it was interesting beforehand, before the lunch even started, I was praying over the room, walking around the tables and the chairs, and I stopped at this one table, and I felt like the Lord spoke to me that I was going to sit at this table. And at the beginning, when the ladies started coming, I was at the door greeting women to come in, and our door nobody was coming into. They were coming in the other doors. And so we went over to another door, and then I look, and there's two ladies sitting at that table that I was praying around, and there's a Brazilian volunteer talking with them, and I see an empty chair. And then one of the girls that I was with is like, "Oh, there's nobody from our team at that table." And I was like, "You know what? I felt like I was supposed to sit at that table." So I went over and sat down with them and started to get to know them and hear their stories. And I was particularly moved by this one girl. Her name was Hayani, and she is only 19 years old, and she grew up in a Christian home, and her family doesn't know that she's working as a prostitute. And what was really sad is that the money was what attracted her. She wanted to make a lot of money, and said that she'll keep doing this for the next 5 years so that she can continue to make a lot of money. And it was so sad to hear that. And but as I got to know them, and was talking with them, and they didn't even want to listen to the testimonies because they knew what they were doing was wrong, and they didn't want to hear from God about what they were doing. And so they just decided to talk through it, and that made me sad too. I sat in silence a couple of minutes and just smiled, but on the inside I was grieving, that these ladies didn't want to hear from God because of what they were doing. They didn't want an opportunity to hear about another way. And so it was very sad. But there was a brief window of opportunity where I got to speak into Hayani's life in particular. I shared with them how God has provided for me over the years financially, and that I don't have to do things, I don't have to sell myself to make money, that God takes care of me. And I shared that with them, and that God is our provider, He's our Father, He gives good gifts. And I saw tears well up in Hayani's eyes, and I knew that God had touched a place in her heart, and she does know better. And so I just pray over that seed that was planted in her heart, that she'll get out sooner rather than later, because she's only been a prostitute for 3 months and she's only 19 years old. And I pray that she doesn't go much farther into this, because just awful things happen to these women. They get raped, they get abused, and they get to such a point where emotionally they shut themselves off, just to be able to cope with the kind of things that they face. And I don't want to see this young, beautiful girl who does have some knowledge of Jesus enter into that kind of existence. And so at the end, we gave out gifts, and I went over um, and she had her gift and offered to pray, but she wouldn't let me pray with her on the spot. She said I could pray for her, but she wouldn't let me pray with her right then. She pulled the scarf out of her gift bag and she gave it to me. And tears welled up in my eyes because I knew the Lord had done something in our connection, however brief and limited it was. And it's a seed planted in her life that prayerfully she'll stop selling herself as a prostitute and enter into the true purpose and destiny that God has for her life, because He loves her, and He doesn't want her to be in this position. So I just wanted to take the next few minutes and share that with you. And thank you so much for praying. I felt your prayers, and pray that you have a blessed day.